Un saluto a tutti gli amici di Organi Veneti. Today we are here with the world famous organist Thomas Ospital. So, Thomas, please can you introduce yourself to our followers?
Hello everyone. I am Thomas Ospital, and I am the organist in Saint Eustache Church in Paris, and organ professor in Paris Conservatory.
Okay, so the first question that I will ask you is how did you start this wonderful passion for music and especially for the organ?
It starts when I was 10 years old. Actually, I was accompanying my father, who was singing in a choir, parish choir in Basque Country, where I come from, and the music director of the choir used the organ just to give the first notes before to start the song. And actually, I was there, and just to see, in fact, the choir master playing the organ, just I have been like attracted by the instrument. And then he saw that on my eyes, and he said, okay, just go to the organ bench and put your hand like that, and that will be to give the first note to the choir, and then you will do that now. But I said, but I don't know how to play the organ, or I don't know read the music. He said, it's all right. You just have to follow what I say, and you do that, and it will be fine. And I can really say that it started just like that. It was like something quite quick, quite fast, and yes, I've been completely impressed by the instrument.
So it's amazing to see how you pass to this little organ in a little church to be the titular organist of Saint Eustache. It's really amazing.
Yeah, well, it's very funny, yeah, because it's true that the little organ I played was it's very tiny apartment organ, actually, which was put in a church. And yes, well, it has been, but it has been a long way from my 10th anniversary, and my I'm now 33. Then it went a long time, actually.
So the next question that I will is to illustrate your studies and your current career in general.
Well, then I made all my studies in Paris Conservatory. First in the Conservatory of Bayonne in Basque Country, where I stayed there until my 18th years old. And when I get the diploma of the Le Bac, it's a diploma of studies in France. I was finishing the school, and then I went to Paris. I was 18 years old, and I started there my studies in organ, in harmony, counterpoint, fugue, and improvisation. And then I work all of that in the conservatory, and I also do the pedagogy degree. And with all of that, I started actually to make many organ competition. It was always a good way to meet new people, to continue working on programs and everything. And I was studying actually in Paris conservatory. No, in Paris Conservatory, when I got a job as a titular organist in Saint Eustache. It was a competition for the succession of Jean Guillou, who was organist there for, I think, 52 years. And then it was an international competition. I think we were 53 or candidates. At the beginning of the process, they wanted to name 3 titular organists, but at the end of the competition, they finally decided to name only 2 organists. Then it's my colleague Baptiste Florian Marlouvrard and myself. And then I started already 8 years ago. It's already 8 years that I'm the organist there. And well, my job is just to play for the service, of course, to work in association with the city of Paris, which is the owner of the organ, about the maintenance of the organ, every wish we can have for the restoration, because the organ is not in so good condition right now. And also we have to play an audition every week at 5 o'clock on Sunday, which reach a lot of people in the church. It's a very successful moment. Then it's important for It's an important part of her job. And part of that, in 2017, I become, first of all, a practice harmony professor in Paris Conservatory. And in 2020, I become organ professor on the same conservatory. And a part of that, I travel a lot to play recitals or play with orchestra, or also teach some master class. And it's quite a lot of things to do in a daily in a day.
So another amazing thing is, if I'm not wrong, you are the youngest professor in Paris Conservatory.
I don't know.
Ah, okay. So, remaining about the organ in Saint Eustache. So, I saw that you launched a fundraiser to restore the organ. And can you explain us how this project of restoration consists, and more in general, the magnificent organ of Saint Eustache, which we know is one of the largest in France?
Well, it's complicated to speak about the project, because it's the project will be defined when we will have signed a contract with an organ builder. But we can speak for the moment about a wish as an organist and member of the parish. For the moment, then we have analyzed many problems that we have to fix on the restoration. First of all, is the wind. The wind is not stable on the organ, which could be acceptable for a baroque instrument, where it is absolutely impossible to sing when it wants to be a symphonic instrument. You need a stable wind. You need something which is not shaking every time you play a chord. Then we have actually to wait to wait and see what could be done. There's many options, changing the how it works the below, or changing the below, or changing the put some anti-secousse, or well, there's a work to be done. But every organ builder would have his own ideas to improve the wind, and it's complicated to say exactly what should be done, But we have this problem of wind, which has to be stabilized. Secondly, we have a huge problem with transmission. For the moment, we have two consoles, as you know. One is on the organ loft, is working with a 5 Barker machine. Then is a tracker, and the other one in the nave is electric. But the electric magnet are put before the Barker machine. It means that when you play the nave console, in fact, the magnet pull all the mechanic action inside the organ.
All right.
Which is normally is not the case when you play, I would say, two console organ. Very often in this instruments, the magnet are just before the chest, and it do not pull all the mechanic, and then it's a real double action. But in fact, in Saint Eustache, it's not a double action. It's always playing as a mechanic instrument, even when you play with a nave console. And in fact, I think it's just too demanding for the organ, because when we play on the nave console, then you have all the Barker machine, which is working all the time, and they are broken every week. Every single week, we have to stop a concert, a mass, or we have to go inside to repair a note which is broken. And I see many organ every week, with all the concert I play, and I never seen in my life such a fragile instrument which needs so much care. When you have to be inside the instrument to repair things every single weeks, then it means that it's not correct. It's just not working well. Then we have to think what to do. There's many options. There's an option, of course, of restoring the mechanic and put an electric system more close to the chest. But pay attention, because it has not been designed like that. Then that would means make a lot of transformation inside the instrument. That would be very complicated, actually. There is also another option, much more easy. It's we take out all the mechanic out of the organ and we put all electric with only one system for both console. For the moment, that we have that preference. But again, that would be a choice of the organ builders. I told you, the philosophy of project is we say we are not convinced by that. We have that as a recurrent problem. Now, what is your solution? And I think it's much better to let the organ builder make their own proposition to feel very comfortable themselves with the project. Otherwise, it's becoming too complicated. But for me, I think it would make things much easier if it was only one and single system to make that organ work. It would be more precise, which is not this system today, would be more reliable. It will be more easy also to maintain because there will be less things to set, it will be more clear. And if I may add, I know that many people would be maybe shocked listening that I am thinking to take out the mechanic to put all electric system. And I could understand that some people would be shocked. But two things. When you have such a large instrument, even you have a mechanic, you will never have the same sensation that if you play like a Italian Baroque organ or even an organ with 2 manuals and I would say 25 stops, For my point of view, with all the instruments I played, I say that having a mechanic is good until 40 stops, And for 40 stops, it's becoming less and less interesting on terms of quality of touch, because the mechanic inside is divided in many things and is not as precise as a little instrument, And second things I can say, well, people would say, but you will destroy the mechanic. But I am sorry, but a Barker machine is absolutely not a mechanic system. It's a pneumatic assistance to pull the mechanic. But you absolutely do not control the opening and the closing of the valve, inside the chest, having the Barker system. Then I understand the point of view of the people who will be very sad to take out this system, but in other things, in other way, I'm not really sure that it's really something it's done for this instrument. But again, this is not a final decision. It will be discussion, and we will see what the competition will done. And after, of course, well, there is some little technical things which has to be replaced inside, which is understandable after 30 years of work, some little leather piece, some little mechanic part, but which is normal, after 30 years, when the organ is used a lot, you have to change a lot of little things. Then there's a lot of maintenance things which have to be done, and which is normal. And the last things will be the voicing of the instrument. We want to think really make a lot of improvement on the voicing, especially I would say in the reeds, which is not acceptable today, the quality of the reeds. Then they sound very tiny, they sound not round enough, they really do not stay in tune very long, and they have to be worked much more on the equality of sound and equality of speech, Then this is quite an important work. That is for the great organ. Also, we need to build a new choir organ, because the choir organ, it's on very, very bad quality, I have to say. And also, this is a really bad instrument. The great organ is a good instrument, but the choir organ is nothing to be saved inside it. Really, it has been done with very poor material, and then the project is to build a new organ, and the project, if we raise enough money, would be to make this organ playable from the nave console. Then you could play both instruments on the same time.
Hmm.
It would be also an instrument to be played by his own, with his own console, of course, for the liturgic reasons. But as a concert instrument, it could be played both instruments in the same time to make like echo, to make the sound in all the church. Could be very interesting. But this is just a project. It has to be saved. I mean, with a money reason. For the moment, it would cost a lot of money. Then we have to see if it's really if we can really do it.
Okay, but we have to think also that the great organ is a really really large instrument itself. It has like I think more than 8,000 pipes, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, it's right.
And even these mechanic problems are problems in plus. So even when you have a really working, a good working 8,000 pipes instrument, you have to do a lot of maintenance, like tuning and stuff. And if I'm not wrong, it has 5 32-foot stops. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, it's a very large instrument, and then it's normal that the working of this instrument is complex. More an instrument is big, more all the inside is very complex. It's building 100 one stops is not as a built 520 stops organ. More the organ is big, more there's a lot of complexity and to be done to make it work properly. Then things has to be understood.
Hmm. So another question that I will ask you is to speaking about music. What's your favorite genre of organ music, and in like baroque music or romantic music?
Well, it's always very complicated to answer to that question because it will really depend the instrument I have. When you are organist, it's very difficult to say, oh, I like that, or I prefer that, or I like only play this sort of instrument. Because when you are an organist, the identity of an organist is to have curiosity to play many different style of instrument. And if you don't have this curiosity, then you are not an organist. I'm
Mhm.
sorry to say, but this is part of your instrument, and it's to be curious to try new thing, new sound, and everything. When you play a old German organ, or old Italian organ, or old French organ, or a symphony French organ, or an orchestra American organ, I mean, they are all different kind of instrument, and of course, you have to adapt your repertoire to each one, because you cannot play the same repertoire in every instrument. This is also the really the I mean, what is very interesting on that instrument. I mean, is when you travel, you have to adapt always your repertoire to the instrument you have, and this is actually what make me love the organ. It's you cannot say I am the master of the instrument, and the instrument does what I want. No, this is not a philosophy for an organist. You have always to find a relationship almost with an instrument that you play for a concert, or as usual. You have really to find a sort of special relation to understand what the instrument tell you to go, in which direction tell you to go, because of question of tempo, of question of registration, of question of acoustic. The instruments speak to you saying, okay, oh, you can go in that direction, and it's exactly what I love with organ in general.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you a question that is, I think, is really really important. So, what's the rule of improvisation in France, especially? Because I know that, especially in France, the organist is required to improvise a lot even during the mass. So at the ending, at the beginning. But obviously not only in France. But I think that in France, improvisation has a really really important rule.
Yeah, well, it's really part of a tradition of the organ playing and to learn the organ in France, actually. And it's true that if you see, for example, the history of the organ class of Paris Conservatory, you would see that until late 60s, beginning of 70s, it was still an improvisation class. For example, Marcel Dupré wasn't teaching how to play the organ. He was teaching the improvisation. To get your prize in the Paris Conservatory, you had to improvise a fugue, you have to improvise a thème libre, and I think it was maybe something about Gregorian chant, And then it was very specific studies, And then from that time, and the improvisation stayed a very yes, very stick, I would say, to the organ tradition. Now it's true that many organists improvise in France, especially for the service, but I wouldn't say it's required because it's just more part of a tradition, But I know that some organists are not very don't improvise and prefer play some repertory, but it's fine too. I mean, there is no obligation, I would say, but I would suggest that it comes from a tradition to maybe study the instrument and to have to approach the instrument.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you a last question. Um, I know you have talked about that an organist have to play every type of repertoire, obviously depending on the organ that is going to play at. But if I have to ask you a piece that you prefer among all other pieces, I know it's a really difficult question, and not only a piece, an organ that you enjoyed much to play among all the organs.
I would say that the organ work of Johann Sebastian Bach, most of it makes me on a most of the joy, It makes me dream, I think it's this repertoire is maybe the better one which have been composed for the organ in all of time, and then I would say probably the music of Johann Sebastian Bach is probably the music I would take in an island if I had to leave the world,
Okay, so Monsieur Pital, thank you so much for this interview and thank you so much for your disponibility. Un saluto a tutti gli amici di Organi Veneti, siamo stati qui con il maestro Thomas Ospital, gentilissimo per la sua disponibilità. So, Monsieur Pital, have a great day and thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye bye.